Most of us know our army exists, but we don't know how to lead it. We're breaking down the logistics of aging so your defenses never go off duty. The human immune system is the most complex biological system we know after the human brain, and yet most of us never learn how it works, or what it is. Your immune system consists of hundreds of tiny and too large organs. It has its own transport network spread throughout your body. Every day it makes hundreds of billions of fresh cells organized like an army. With soldiers, captains, intelligence officers, heavy weapons, and crazy suicide bombers, it's not some sort of abstract entity. Your immune system is you. Your biology protecting you from the billions of microorganisms that want to consume you, and from your own perverted cells that turn into cancer. It's so manifold that it's impossible to cover in one video, so we'll make a series looking at different aspects of it. Today, what happens when your body is invaded and your first lines of defense are engaged in a fight for life and death? Tactical intercept. Listen up, recruit. In your youth, your immune HQ, the Thymus, is a massive, thriving training camp. It's pumping out elite commanders like there's no tomorrow. But by the time you hit your 40s and 50s, that camp starts to shrink and turn into fat. It's not a bug, it's a feature of aging. To slow down this headquarters shrinkage, you need to watch out for the saboteur, high cortisol. Constant stress tells the HQ to shut down early. Maintenance action. Use a smartwatch to track your HRV, heart rate variability. If the numbers are low, your HQ is under siege. Deep sleep and zinc are your best supply crates here. Long-term goal, keep the training camp open. If the HQ stays active, you'll have fresh commanders ready to fight even when you're a seasoned general in your 70s. It's been a normal day when suddenly the world explodes and an asteroid rips the sky open. Countless alien life forms invade, ready to destroy cities and infrastructure and eat civilians. Or, this is what your cells experience. You look at your bleeding thumb that you just cut on a dirty twig in the park. How annoying. But inside the wound, a horrible catastrophe has happened. There are dead cells and blood and dirt everywhere. Even worse, countless bacteria invade the warm caverns between your helpless cells to explore their new home, steal your resources, and release toxins everywhere. Immediately, the first stage of your defense kicks in. The cells that survive the impact or are hurt or dying scream in panic, releasing an onslaught of chemical alarm signals that awaken your immune system. The first cells to show up are macrophages. If an average cell were the size of a human, a macrophage would be the size of a black rhino, a stoic cell in principle, but you wouldn't want to annoy it. Bacteria do annoy them. Within seconds, the large cells attack and begin killing them without mercy. They stretch out parts like arms and grab the bacteria to swallow them whole and digest them alive. A macrophage can eat 100 bacteria before it's exhausted. At 25, your rhinos, macrophages, are relentless hunters. At 65, they can get senile. They stay on the battlefield but forget how to hunt, just sitting there and leaking toxic signals that make you feel old and achy. The saboteur, sugar, high blood sugar, glues up these rhinos, making them sluggish soldiers. Maintenance action, flip the internal recycling mode, autophagy switch. Intermittent fasting, even just a 14-hour break from food, signals the body to eat the old lazy rhinos and replace them with young hungry ones. Long-term goal. By recycling your rhinos, you prevent chronic inflammation. You want an army that cleans up the mess, not one that just sits in it. But there are too many enemies, so the macrophages call for reinforcements. In your blood, hundreds of thousands of neutrophils pick up their signals and move to the battlefield. Neutrophils are intense suicide warriors that only live to kill. They're so enthusiastic about killing that they die shortly after birth, so they don't have time to accidentally destroy your body from the inside. As soon as neutrophils arrive, they begin vomiting deadly chemicals at bacteria or devour them. They are so careless in their attacks that they cause real damage to your own cells. but collateral damage is not their concern now or ever. Some neutrophils go so far as to push their suicide button and explode, casting a wide and toxic net made from their own DNA filled with deadly chemicals that trap and kill bacteria. Sometimes they can continue fighting after that, even though they're sort of dead already. This is how much fun they have killing. Tactical intercept. Warning. These suicide warriors are loose cannons. If you're in your 40s or 50s and always on edge, your neutrophils get twitchy. They start exploding nets everywhere, even when the asteroid was just a minor stressor at work. This is the root of joint pain and heart trouble. Maintenance action. Anti-inflammatory coolants. Omega-3s and curcumin act like fire extinguishers for these DNA nets. If your smart ring says your body temperature is slightly elevated every night, your neutrophils might be overreacting. Long-term goal: protect the infrastructure. You want a sharp defense, not a scorched earth policy that leaves you with burnout in your 60s. While the battle rages, your blood vessels let fluid stream into the battlefield like a dam opening up towards a valley. You notice this as inflammation. Your thumb swells up a little and gets red and warm. The fluid brings a silent killer into the battle zone. Millions of complement proteins, a sort of automated liquid weapon that stuns and kills bacteria by ripping holes into them. We made a whole video explaining them in detail. We are reaching a crossroads now. If things go well, your first line of defense kills the invaders quickly. But sometimes the enemies are too strong and would overwhelm your defenses eventually, which means certain death for you, the human. This is the hour of the dendritic cell, your immune system's intelligence officer. While your soldiers were bashing in heads, it was collecting samples by ripping bacteria into tiny parts and covering itself in them, like a soldier decorating itself in the guts of a dead enemy. The cell leaves the battlefield and enters the superhighway of your immune system that connects all your tissues with your immune headquarters, your lymph nodes. In your 70s, the intelligence officers, dendritic cells, are still smart, but the superhighway, the lymph system, gets backed up. Unlike your blood, the lymph system has no pump. It only moves when you move. Maintenance action. Movement is the pump. If you're at a desk all day, get a mini rebounder or a standing desk. Bouncing or walking for just 5 minutes flushes the highway so the intelligence officers can reach the commanders in time. Long-term goal: fast communication. If your intelligence officers get stuck in traffic, the bacteria win. Keep the highway clear to ensure a 24-hour response time, no matter your age. The dendritic cell coming from the battlefield is looking for a helper T cell, which is a sort of all-purpose commander cell within your immune army. But not just any helper T cell, one that happens to have just the right weapon for the bacteria that infected your wound. So it goes around and rubs itself, still covered in bacteria parts, against every helper T cell it meets. Most T cells are not interested. But after a few hours, something clicks. A helper T cell recognizes the bacteria parts. This cell is the weapon that's needed right now. The dendritic cell is overjoyed and activates the helper T cell. Okay, wait. How come your immune system has a cell that has a weapon against the specific bacteria that infected you? Well, your immune system has a potential weapon against every possible disease in the universe. Against the Black Death, the coronavirus, or an infection that will emerge in 100 years on Mars. We'll talk about this a bit more in the next video because it's very complex. So for now, just know that you have billions of unique helper T cells that each have weapons against every possible enemy. After the right T cell is activated, your second line of defense awakes and rises like a teenager that needs to get up on a school day. Very slowly. Your heavy weapons are incredibly effective, but they're not fast. The saboteur, vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D is the alarm clock for your commanders, T cells. If your levels are low, which is common as we age, The commander stays in bed while the invaders burn the city. Maintenance action. Test, don't guess. Use a home blood test kit to check your vitamin D. For a seasoned general, keeping these levels high is the difference between a 3-day cold and a 3-week hospital stay. Long-term goal, high-speed activation. You want your heavy weapons waking up within hours, not days. This is how you stay bulletproof as you get older. The activated helper T cell begins to clone itself over and over again. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, until there are thousands of them. Now, they split into 2 groups. The first group quickly moves to help out your soldiers. At the battlefield, things are getting out of hand. A tired macrophage is ready to give up. After fighting for days, it just wants to go to sleep like many of its buddies have done already. But now the helper T cells arrive. One of them comes to the tired macrophage and whispers something using special chemical signals. In a heartbeat, the demoralized soldier feels fresh again. But there's something else, a hot white anger. The macrophage knows what it needs to do: kill. Invigorated, it throws itself against the enemies once again. All over the battlefield, this begins to happen. Meanwhile, the second group of helper T cells was working on activating another line of defense: B cells, your antibody factories. Antibodies are protein superweapons that look like tiny crabs with 2 pincers to grab enemies. Just like the helper T cells, there are B cells in your body that are able to make just the right antibodies for every possible enemy. And the helper T cell is looking for exactly these B cells. After a day or 2, the right B cell is found and begins to clone itself. As soon as enough clones have been made, each B cell begins pumping out up to 2,000 antibodies per second. Tactical overhaul. Your B cells are the antibody factories. To pump out 2,000 weapons per second, they need massive amounts of energy and raw materials. In your 60s, if you aren't eating enough protein, your factories can't find the steel to make the weapons. Maintenance action, supply chain management. Aim for high-quality protein at every meal. If you use a smart scale, watch your muscle mass. If muscle drops, your immune reserves are dropping too. Long-term goal, firepower. You want your B cells to saturate the battlefield so the enemy has nowhere to hide. Strong factories. Strong longevity. About a week after you injured yourself and bacteria invaded, your second line of defense finally arrives in full force. The tiny army begins to saturate the battlefield, pinching and stunning desperate bacteria. The antibodies clump them together and make them unable to move or fight, while your soldiers massacre the defenseless victims. The tide is turning fast. As the last enemies are cleaned up, your soldiers realize they are no longer needed and begin to kill themselves to save resources. But not all of them. A few helper T cells remain and turn into memory cells. They will guard the tissue for years, making sure the same bacteria will never again gain a foothold here. Similarly, a few B cells will stay alive and keep producing a low amount of antibodies, making you immune against these bacteria, maybe for the rest of your life. One day you wake up and notice that the wound has grown over and left nothing but a faint red mark. You were completely unaware of the drama your cells had to deal with. For you, the whole ordeal was a slight annoyance, while for millions of cells, it was a desperate fight for life and death. But this is just the beginning of the epic story that unfolds inside you every day. By age 70, you are a walking library of every battle you've ever won. Your memory cells are elite veterans. But here's the kicker. If you have chronic inflammation from poor diet or stress, these veterans get distracted fighting ghosts and forget to watch the gates. Final maintenance action, recovery. Use a sleep tracker to ensure you're hitting deep sleep. That's when the veterans do their perimeter checks. Melatonin and a cool room are your best tools here. Long-term goal, a peaceful kingdom. You want your veterans on guard but relaxed. That is the secret to a long, vibrant life. Your army has your back. Now go out there and give them a reason to keep fighting. Like the video and subscribe for more health tips. Stay healthy.